he's resigned himself to shaving his hair, so he's kind of focusing more on what he can do before he has to retire. What else then from this game other than that sort of unsavoury incident stood out for you?
I thought the Kevin Brown try looked like to me there could have been a possibility of a penalty in the build-up as well. He sort of spun round and doing the sort of try-tag rugby type thing of spinning round, but it did look like there was a bit of a swinging arm came towards him in the build-up for that. Don't know if you picked up on that, but that's certainly when I looked at it.
I watched the game, but not in great detail. It was on in the pub, and then I watched I watched it back this morning whilst dealing with life. so I didn't pick up on every single incident. Actually, that's why I was kind of relying on you to go through this one a little.
Fair enough. The try from was that the Levette's try?
Right at the start of the second half.
Yeah, that was a nice one. I thought definitely why I did keep up with the pace of the game, and he used the perceived injustice of the biting incident to kind of fire them up, and they used that to get them going. And it did seem to me that Hull didn't quite find a proper flow, and they seemed a bit hesitant in attack, certainly towards the back end of the match. They didn't look like they were really going to kick on, and they just didn't take advantage when they did get it tied up. So when they got the game to 18-18, they didn't look like they were, was it 22-22? I can't remember. But they didn't.
What do you mean?
When they were drawn, there was a point where it was the game 12 all. All right.
The big bit I remember sort of being the real clincher was that Hakim Maloudi's dropped interception attempt, because that was at 12 all, and if it had taken that, it would have given Hull a lot of belief in heart after a spell of Wire really, really dominant. Like, they barely had the ball in the second half up to that point. Didn't Hull.
But that comes when you've been on the back foot for a while. You do snatch at it to try and get something out of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. But on the very next set, or the next possession, certainly, I don't know if there was a penalty in between somewhere, but Ben Masila scored on the next set, didn't he? And I mean, rampaging stuff from him, a little bit weak from the defensive side of things, but I thought it was interesting that he was named at prop, but then made sure that he played over a halfback all game, so didn't really play at prop, didn't Ben Masila, but yeah, that was a crucial turning point, wasn't it?
And definitely that. Obviously, whatever was said at halftime, poetry or otherwise, definitely was used to Wire's advantage to really, really kick them on, and scoring 30 points and a half is, unanswered is quite something.
Yeah, especially when they had a couple of tries ruled out as well. That would have been even padded out the scoreline even more. I thought the Josh Charnley try was really nice hands getting across the pitch. And similar kind of for the Ryan Atkins try. No suggestion that he was claiming a try that wasn't actually scored there. So I think that gave him a new Super League record for Warrington. So well done.
That hurt, didn't it?
Yeah, that's why it came out. It came out tough. Any individuals who particularly stuck out? Harvey Levette obviously was man of the match and well deserved.
Yeah, Levette and Charnley mainly. The ones that sort of caught my eye in particular. Again, I thought Murdoch Masila did have a good game. He was, as Mike Dodd sort of alluded to, was definitely the sort of doing a lot of the work for them that was able to give them that go forward in the second half, just getting forward and then bringing people in, which was then getting them more space and more quick play the balls, which was getting them a good roll on.
What about for Hull FC? I mean, I think Liam Harris kind of didn't really have much of a say in this game.
He didn't do as much as he had the week before, whether that's virtue of the changing people around him,
and a little bit of inexperience.
It's the general inexperience he's got at the level, and whether it's because now he's had his one game of being given the space, whereas perhaps teams are now starting to watch the video and starting to work out how to shut him down.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a potential in that, and he snatched at a couple of things. I think he was trying to trying to do stuff before it was available for them to do, really, which was a bit of a shame there, but a learning experience for him, that's good. Conversely, though, another player early in his career and playing one of his first few games, I think still did really well. Cameron Scott, I know a couple of tries went in through his area in the second half, but I wouldn't necessarily pin them on him. The numbers that got out around those wide men for the Hull FC defence meant those plays were going to be tough to defend. But I thought he played pretty well, particularly in the first half, 50 minutes or so as well.
Fair enough, yeah. So what do the stats tell us from this?
You don't
No, I do. I just don't think I can add to it.
So the stats said Warrington made much more ground at a much better rate per carry, 740 more metres at 2.8 metres per carry better average gain. From that, they only made 2 more breaks, although scored 3 more tries than Hull FC. Wire were hampered by their 15-6 error count loss and conceding 6 penalties to only 3 from the Black and Whites. At a 95% team success rate, the home side were able to tackle 3% more effectively than their visitors. Huge meter numbers, really. Yeah. That second half, because it was very even in the first half, but they dominated possession and territory, and as people kind of tired for this young and inexperienced and patched up Hull FC side, that took its toll a bit. Individually, Josh Charnley 1 try, 183 metres. Stefan Ratchford 1 try assist, 185 metres. Chris Hill 43 tackles, 10 of which were marker tackles, and 134 metres. Mitch Brown 138 metres. And then for the Hull side, Dean Hadley with a try and 44 tackles, Danny Houghton with a try assist and 61 tackles, and Chris Green with 112 metres. Moving on to another Friday night game, we don't know much about this one, so we're not going to dwell on it too long.
I think this one needs a full in-depth investigation. But yeah, it finished Hull KR 24, Wigan 18, after being 10-8. Wigan 8, so I can't read tonight. Yeah. It's the second time. After being 10-8 at half-time, in front of a decent crowd of 7,222, refereed by Mr. Ben Failer.
Go on, have your say.
I think it was.
I didn't go to the game, but I've seen most of it that I could stomach watching.
See, I've only seen the video highlights, and I did hear the sort of odd bit on BBC Humberside that I was catching whilst the Warrington game was on. But I think again it seemed that it was Chris Atkin that did this one. Came back and really took the game by the scruff of the neck, and obviously going over early in the second half. His try, I thought, was a nice bit of work. And Junior Vaivai, having limped off the week before, I didn't think he was going to feature, given it looked quite serious in the when he went off at Magic, coming on and really doing that. Sheen sort of pointed that this definitely does, show the side's intelligence. There's question marks on the Wigan defence for me when I watch the tries.
Huge question marks on the Wigan defence. Probably larger question marks than the Wigan attack in this game. They weren't able to get anything cohesive going, but all the tries were eminently preventable from a Wigan point of view. Similarly to the try that Wigan scored, that was a comedy of errors as well in its own right, but Wigan took an early lead of 8-0 and then never looked forward from there, really, with as the saying doesn't go, because after that point in time, from about the 15-minute mark, it was all Hull Kingston Rovers, and it was Quinlan and Atkin are very, very pacey and nippy and kind of quick sleight of hand and stuff that Wigan weren't dealing with well at all in this game. They struggled a little bit with them in the cup game, but were able to get on top of things. They couldn't get on top of things in this game. I think Maurice Blair's settling back into being in the halfback, and he controlled things. What Wigan have struggled against Hull KR is Hull KR's persistence of just throwing a sideways offload, then running sideways, then throwing another offload, then running sideways, but not getting bored of having no gap.
Yeah.
Eventually, someone springs into life and a kick goes in or something, and
it's kind of that second or third go, not phases, but the second or third go, keeping the concentration as much as anything.
They were much more enthused to deal with that sort of stuff with Hull KR in the game, from everything I saw of it. So you got to take hats off to them. They were a much better team in in this game. They kept Wigan scoreless in the second half. Wigan have won every single second half they've played so far this season, and they kept Wigan scoreless in this second half. Clearly the frustration took its toll. There was a decision that went against Wigan late-ish in the game, and it definitely did go against Wigan. It looked like there was at least 3 infringements by Hull KR before any possible infringement by a Wigan player on the play. But it's no excuse for Joel Tompkins to sort of persistently question the referee's decision making as he was putting the scrum down, and he was marched to the sin bin by Ben Failer, who doesn't take that kind of talk.
No, and there was also Sam Tompkins put on report for alleged use of the knee on Chris Atkin.
Yeah, which is absolute. I saw the incident. I can't imagine that there was anything malicious in it at all. It's just it kind of. I think Chris Atkin got a bit of a dead leg from it by the looks of the way he got up after it. But basically, Chris Atkin was skate across the line and just sort of half beating a Sam Powell tackle. So Sam Tompkins rushed up from the fullback position, and kind of as Chris Atkins was starting to fall to the ground from the Sam Powell attempted tackle, Sam Tompkins came across from the other side, and basically his knees collided with Atkins' body is all I saw. The tackle certainly wasn't complete, so it wasn't late. He didn't drop on a grounded player. I can't understand why it was, other than the fact that an injury appeared to have been caused. I can't understand any decision, any reason why it went on report personally, but maybe that's me being slightly biased. But it didn't seem like there was. So, I mean, Tompkins was getting a bit agitated at this stage of the game, and he was flying into a few tackles. Maybe that was an element of it to calm him down, because he was definitely pissed off about what was going on with his team. But I don't see it as a bad challenge, a negative challenge, a malicious challenge, or any kind of real serious challenge. It was just one of those things that happens sometimes. A player falling to the ground collides with the knees of a player. Is the way I saw it, rather than anything else. And
another thing that we must just draw attention to as well is of being impressed certainly is that Justin Carney played most of the game with a broken hand. He broke his hand sort of midway through the first half, and was able to play on for the rest of the game.
And both of us could talk about injuries, because Hull KR have got some serious injuries to some of their best players, and Wigan suffered a bad injury in the game by the looks of things to young Liam Forsyth, who was having a good game until that point by all accounts. But yeah, this is probably Wigan's most disrupted game of the season from injuries, but certainly still no way in the leagues of what other teams like Hull KR are going through from an injury point of view. Wigan went into the game with a bit of emotional baggage as well, after some more players are almost confirmed to be leaving, and the coach is obviously on his way.
And
out.
I suppose there is that emotional element, given how much of a father figure he is to a lot of that side, that is probably going to affect them.
But certainly those things are no excuse, and that's exemplified by Justin Carney not letting that broken hand be any sort of excuse. Junior Vai is a player who's real rocks and diamonds, but is a player that's dangerous and threatening, and he showed his commitment in this game. And that's got that kick he chased down and beat Tom Davies to. Tom Davies looked a bit lackluster and not really wanting to deal with the kick, which was a bit of a surprise. I'm sure there'll be a few players who get a bit of a reality check watching the video back of this game and realise that is not what they're capable of from a Wigan perspective. Whereas from Hull KR's perspective, it really sets them back in that race for the top 8, which is getting exciting. Yeah,
I think that's going to, certainly when it comes down towards the last couple of rounds, that's going to be hotting up quite considerably, given that quite a lot of them have got to play each other as well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, stats.
Yeah.
Shall we do the stats, or do you want to...
Let's move on from this one.
Wigan have had the best team tackle success rate so far this year, but that normal strength in their game let them down here. Hull KR had a 4.1% better team tackle success rate, and so despite one fewer clean break and one more handling error, they were able to pull off the upset against their visitors. Individually, Junior Vai we've talked a bit about. He had 2 tries, 120 metres and 2 clean breaks. Justin Carney, 121 metres, lots of that with a broken hand. Chris Clarkson, 115 metres, and James Greenwood, 1 try assist and 106 metres. For Wigan, John Bateman, he had a try ruled out. He threw a stupid offload that led to the 5-eye try that sealed it as well. In his scratching around and determination to do things for the Wigan Warriors, he got 5 tackles, 155 metres, 4 successful offloads, so you can't blame him for his effort, certainly. Tom Davies had 195 metres carrying the ball, 3